Hey guys, Tuffy the Fruit Nut here. I wanted to talk to you today about who you should trust for your nutrition advice. Everyone and their dog will give you nutrition advice, and so it's really hard to filter through it all. In particular, I'm focusing on today basically why you shouldn't trust your doctor. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't innately mistrust your doctor about the nutrition advice that you give you. I mean, if you have a doctor that is super interested in nutrition in his own time, and he reads the journals and he reads the books, and he or she, don't mean to be sexist there, right? He or she looks healthy, then maybe you should trust them, right? But don't just trust them because they have a doctor after or before their name, right? Or an MD after their name. And here's why. As of a few years ago, they ran a study on the nutrition classes that were required in medical schools. And turns out that only half of medical schools in the country even have a dedicated nutrition class as a part of their curriculum. Of those that do require it, mostly it's just one class. It's one class in 4 years, one class of nutrition. They're not nutritionists. They're not nutrition experts. It's like going to your barber and asking them for financial advice, right? You're like, well, yeah, he works in money, right? He takes money, you pay him, but I wouldn't go, asking him what I should do with my 401k or anything like that, right? Same thing with doctors. It's like people get this confused between medicine and nutrition, medicine and health. Very important work the doctors do. It is not nutrition, right? It is not nutrition, and by and large, in my experience, and I have a lot of friends that are doctors, and I know a lot personally, that's just not their interest. They're not interested in nutrition. They brought up they're very system-oriented people. They're brought up in medical schools that teach you exactly what to do based on whatever symptoms are being presented. And they teach you how to treat symptoms and how to do surgeries and some very important work. But they don't really teach you how to be healthy in medical school. That's not what medical school is for, right? Medical school is not like, hey, let's find a way to prevent people from going to the hospital. And frankly, that's a more systemic problem, right? Because that's a conflict of interest there. The hospital wants more patients to come in because that's how they make money, right? I'm not saying that that's their intention, but frankly, that is a conflict of interest, right? It's a conflict of interest that you make less money the healthier the population is, and that's just a fact of life. So they're going to push their interest more to treatment of diseases instead of actually cures for the same diseases and research into nutrition that can actually stop these diseases from happening in the first place. There's that. Now, the other part of it is and I'm reading this here, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, very respected journal here, ran a study a few years ago where they put doctors up against their patients in a head-to-head test of basic nutrition. And come to find out that the patients actually won that test. So by and large, according to this study anyway, the patients actually knew more about nutrition than the doctors did. So yeah, be a little reserved when you're like, hey doc, I don't feel so good. What should I do about it? I'm not saying that it's easy, right, to find where this information is. Everyone is going to mislead you. Just be careful not to fall into this trap of going to the so-called experts for it. Experts are taught by schools that teach the status quo. That's what they do, right? The government passes down these programs or these outlines for what should be taught in our colleges, universities, and medical schools, and frankly, even our nutrition departments, at which I would trust more. But even so, the nutrition departments at these schools, they are getting it's old information. These institutions don't adapt as fast as the information is coming in. Our knowledge of nutrition is growing by the hour. If you try to keep up with it, which I do, right? There's something published that's pretty fascinating every week. There's something, and you're like, whoa, I never thought of this before, okay? And And so it's hard to filter through it all. And if you're lucky, you can find people like me that are going to filter it for you. Now, do I have an agenda? Yes, right? I want to see people get healthy. I want people to get happy. I've experienced a huge transformation in my own life where I lost a bunch of weight. And it's like my body's still a work in progress, but I'm getting stronger all the time. I'm getting healthy, and mostly I just feel good, and I'm happier than I've ever been. And this is something that I want to pass along to people. The awesome thing about YouTube, the awesome thing about this arena is that people like me are just going to give it away. We're just like, hey, I did this and it worked for me. You can do it too, right? Take it on. Do what I did. And you don't have to make the same mistakes. I mean, the cool thing about it, I want to fix a bike. I just get online and there's like 1 million people who want to tell me how to fix a bike. Now, not everyone knows what they're talking about, so you need to be a little careful, right? And I'll let you judge for yourself. As you watch these videos, you can judge for yourself whether I know what I'm talking about. I come from a little different place than a lot of the nutrition people you'll see around here, right? I have the science background to know what I'm reading, right? But my education is mostly self-taught, right? I took all science. I studied mostly biology as an undergrad, and so I have a background in all that kind of stuff. I've had just so much science; it's ridiculous. But I like it. I love it. I'm a scientist by heart, by nature. But I also know that it's really easy to fudge facts, and that running experiments on people is damn near impossible because you can't control the variables. So the best person to run the test on is you. I mean, you can control all the variables. It's awesome, right? You control exactly what you eat every day. And then subjectively, which is important, how do I feel at the end of the day? Do I feel better? Do I feel worse? Do I have more energy? And let's start making some associations between what we're eating and how we feel and what we look like. More specifically, eat something and pay attention to how you feel. I remember for years, I used to claim that I had a weak stomach. And my dad had it too, right? So we would always be like, oh, I have such a weak stomach, because I would get nauseous basically every time I ate. Turns out I was eating shit, right? And so was my dad, because, shocking, I picked up the same eating habits as my parents, right? So it wasn't genetics. It was the fact that I was eating crap. I was eating sugars and lots of breads and processed grains and processed sugars and fats and animal fats and stuff that was making me sick. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Be careful who you're listening to. Be careful who you're listening to. As much as anything, listen to your own body. And I'm in a real way, listen to it, okay? Notice how you feel. Notice what makes you gain weight, what makes you lose weight. And for me, the best experience to this, or the best way to do this, is to be very practical and very scientific about the whole thing. I mean, in Tuffy's Health Lab, my old blog, I would take those months. I did a month where I was 100% raw. People would laugh at me because I was picking out cooked nuts out of my salad. I'm like, I was not going to have a cooked nut that month. Nothing cooked. Only raw. And I wanted, okay, now how do I feel after 30 days of a raw diet, right? And I'll tell you guys all about it. As we go along, I'll tell you guys all about that. I did a month on an alkaline diet where I was eating all alkaline foods. I did a month vegetarian. I did a month vegan, right? I did 2 years strict paleo. I was a strict paleo guy for 2 years. It didn't work out for me, right? That is not the ideal way to live. And I'll tell you why. I know a lot of paleo people out there can be like, you're like, no, I've done it, right? And then I found more information, right? A lot of people are so willing to they find what they like, they ignore what they don't, right? But don't stop learning. Don't stop learning. Just because you find something, there's good things about paleo, right? Paleo has some good things to say, mostly about eating natural foods and cutting out processed foods, right? But they are missing on a lot. And if you keep researching, if you keep changing, you'll find even better ways to live. I've done it. I've already been there. You can save yourself the time and skip ahead and just learn from what I'm saying, or you can do it yourself. But don't just stay there and defend your lifestyle. Don't just stand there and defend your lifestyle for the sake of it, right? Let's not defend our points even if deep down we think we might be wrong, or for fear of being wrong. This is a major, major obstacle for people. It's like you make a stand, you say, oh, I'm a Democrat or something, right? And then everything the Democrats do, I have to defend, right? Because I'm a Democrat. Or I'm a Republican, I don't care, right? Whatever political party you're into, right? And then you defend it, tooth and nail. Doesn't matter whether or not, how awful the things that they end up doing end up being, you're still going to defend it. And the same thing with diet, man, which is super personal to people, right? Like, I'm paleo, right? You're like, okay, all right, you're paleo. So be open-minded, that's all I'm saying, right? Be open-minded, do your own research, and go to your doctor when you have, when you need surgery, when you need something cut open. In the rare cases when maybe you need a drug, though we overprescribe drugs like crazy in this country, but don't go to them for nutrition advice. Don't do it. I say first, test things on your own. Do your own research. Be your own guinea pig. If that's not working for you, try to find a trusted nutritionist, right? But even they get taught by the same schools that are teaching the status quo. And if you've noticed, the status quo is not working. America is really, really fat and really, really sick. And we're spreading our ideas to the world, right? Rather than spreading good ideas to the world, we're spreading obesity to the world. They're starting to adopt our ways of eating, and things are not getting better. They're getting worse, right? So, do some research and start practicing on yourself. I've gone on far too long here. We'll call that a video for the day. If you're still watching, thank you, right? I appreciate it. As always, post comments or criticisms, if you will, right? Criticisms I'll respond to as long as they're nice, right? You can't go name calling. Looking at you, trolls, okay? And then, give me a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more about what I got to say. I have a lot of information. I have done a lot of practice studies on myself, right? Months at a time, where I was very strict about whatever diet I was into at that time, right? And I've acquired a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge on the subject. So if you want to pick my brain, subscribe to the channel, and I'll let you know exactly what it takes to, get really, really healthy. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.